Billionaires are currently at war. They're shooting economic weapons at the hordes. Headline reads, IMF backing gold market. So the International Monetary Fund plans to sell 191.3 tons of gold on the open market, they announced, after markets closed in New York. And the headline then shortly followed after, gold futures drop sharply on IMF sales. So remember, in the aftermarket, the only people who populate that are insiders, governments, and, you know, the big guys. And the markets dropped, the gold price dropped by 1.6%. As soon as real markets opened again, the price skyrocketed.
I smell a rat. Well, remember Gordon Brown sold half of Britain's gold at $250 an ounce, a multi-decade low. So these people who supposedly know something usually know nothing. The IMF, of course, is making a big boo-boo if they hope to collateralize any kind of special drawing rights or do anything productive going forward if they're going to get rid of all their gold. Meanwhile, India, they just bought 100...
Well, they bought the last 200 tons on an off-market sale. So the IMF is now saying they're going to do this on-market. And why would they want to why would they want to scare people out of the market? And that's what many people argue, that gold is the only honest money in the world. In a world now just filled with fraud. Fraudulent derivatives, fraudulent fiat currencies, fraudulent governments, fraud, fraud, fraud everywhere. So I want to take you back to the end of last month at Davos.
Take us back to the end of last month.
To show you what the IMF may be doing. They may have taken a page out of George Soros' book, Davos 2010. George Soros warns gold is now the ultimate bubble. And this is a headline from The Telegraph at the time, the end of January 2010. Gold is now the ultimate bubble, billionaire investor George Soros has declared, sparking fears that prices for precious metal may soon suffer a tumble.
Yeah.
Cut to now, George Soros buys gold despite dubbing it the ultimate bubble. So in fact, while he was saying that, he actually doubled his gold holdings and bought 11,000 options, call options.
That's a lot. Yeah, I challenged George Soros to come on this show and debate me. I know he won't because he's an intellectual lightweight compared to my understanding of how these markets work, because we actually show how the market frauds are committed. He's just playing the media game by going to Davos and using it as a bully pulpit to talk up his position. He's using it to manipulate his own profits.
Well, but also the headline when George Soros, the most famous hedge fund manager in the world and history, is saying gold is in a bubble and you should get out, it's a disaster, that got big headlines through all the media. The fact that he actually doubled his gold holdings is just being reported in the financial media. It's not, the same people who sold out won't be necessarily seeing this headline.
The problem with Soros is that he has Jim Rogers envy. Because I think Jim Rogers is kicking Soros's butt in the investment arena in the last 10 years. And Soros is out there trying to get a date with Sharon Stone. He should be managing his money.
Well, and so what do the rich possibly know? Why are they buying all this gold? Why are they trying to shake people out of their gold positions at this point? Headline reads, U.S. bank lending falls at fastest rate in history. This is bank lending in the U.S. has contracted so far this year, 2010, at the fastest rate in recorded history.
That's right.
Lending has fallen by over $100 billion since January, plummeting at an annual rate of 16%. Prior to this, it was down at 10%.
Well, this is credit contraction or deflation, which actually creates a situation of negative real interest rates. And this is what's driving the price of gold, actually, because if you take the CPI and you subtract it from the rate that the Federal Reserve is offering, you end up with a negative real interest rate. It's like buying a CD at a bank and locking in a loss by the end of the year. You're locking in loss of purchasing power. And whenever these currencies go through a period of loss of purchasing power, of course, people go into gold as a way to safeguard their purchasing power. And obviously, guys like Soros and also Paulson, John Paulson, who runs a huge hedge fund manager, and Paul Tudor Jones, they're also buying gold hand over fist because they realize that after the deflationary collapse comes the hyperinflationary tsunami.
But what I'm also saying is that the economic apocalypse is upon us because these numbers, the U.S. lending numbers and the M3 numbers, the M3 broad money supply numbers, has contracted at a